Okay. Look, we've got a clock. All right. All right. Dylan, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate taking the time to talk with me. I know that your good friend suggested that we talk. So I know, also I just want to confirm, did you get the email I sent you with the home buying information packet, the first time home buyer's guide?
Yes, I did, but to be honest, I didn't look through it fully.
That's fine, totally fine, no problem. And I get it. That's like 20 pages of lots of information. We are not going to go over that whole thing today. Since you've never bought a home before, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so my thought was I want to just do a couple of things today. One is let's go over the home buying process, which will probably answer quite a few questions for you. And then let's go over any questions you've got. You probably have some. And then we can talk about, then last we can talk about how I'll support you as your agent. Does that sound good? Okay.
Absolutely.
Any other big topics you want to hit on today, or is that good?
Honestly, probably the process from start to finish, just because this is my first time.
Okay, perfect. And that's actually what I wanted to point out in the new home buyer guide. We're just going to focus on really 2 pages in that. You can read the rest of it, at breakfast or something. So I'm going to screen share that home buyer guide. And okay, I know your name is not Jesus. So I'm what?
Nothing. I'm just being a smart aleck.
Quiet, Susie. Okay. So I'm going to actually zip down here to the there's 8 major steps to buying a home. And let's enlarge that so we can all see that. All right. All right. So Dylan, the first thing is we're doing it right now, is starting to partner up with us and the Fishkin team. So just so you know, it's not just me working by myself. My wife and I work together, and our licensed transaction manager, Savannah. So all 3 of us work together. So it's really three agents working all on your behalf. And part of what we'll do is explain to you what's going on in the real estate market. We can nerd out on that as much as you want. But some of the things we'll talk about as we start looking at homes that are for sale, we'll talk about how many homes are for sale and how fast they're selling. It'll be important for you to kind of get a sense of what's happening in the real estate market. Have you heard anything, or have people talked about what it's like buying a home right now?
I've heard it's very difficult to get your offer accepted.
That can be true. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It can be challenging depending on what price range you're in, or how flexible you are on location. It can be a challenging market right now for buyers. All the buyers I've worked with this year, though, they all got under contract and they all got a house. Part of the challenge right now is that there are homes on the market, but there's just so many buyers. Interest rates are so low, it makes homes relatively affordable. So there are a lot of people that want to buy a home, and there are, even with homes on the market, they're just getting snapped up quickly. And the competition's so fierce. This person says, I'll pay 400, and this person says, I'll pay 410, and this person says, I'll pay 420. So prices can escalate like that. We don't need to worry about that right now. We'll talk more about that when you find a home you actually like and we're putting in offers. We can talk about strategies. But overall, yeah, you're right. It's a competitive market right now. So one of the things we'll do today, we'll talk about what you're looking for in a home. And that's after we go through this process, we'll talk about that, what you're looking for. And then once we agree and I have a clear understanding of what you're looking for, I'm going to start sending you email alerts when homes hit the market. As soon as they hit the market or there's a price change that drops it down into your price range, whatever you're comfortable with, you'll get an instant email alert.
Very cool.
What's the best email for you, by the way?
dylaniscool@gmail.com.
Oh, I love that email address. Perfect. Okay, got it. Thanks. I will start sending you properties that meet your general criteria, like what town or section of town, price range, number of beds and baths, things like that. And I'll also be watching for off-market properties, things that might be coming soon. They might be for sale by owner. And I'll look for homes that actually aren't on the open market yet. That might give you a leg up.
Very cool.
Well, as we're looking at homes, we'll also, when you find homes that you actually like, I'll start to fill you in on average home prices in different towns or different neighborhoods. So you start to develop a sense of, okay, my money buys this much here and this much over here.
Okay.
Something else, the last bit there, complete needs assessment. After we go through this process, like I said, we'll just have a really good in-depth discussion about what you're looking for and why you're moving.
Quick question. How would your commission work with for sale by owner?
Great question, actually. So one of the great things with working with me as a buyer's agent is that you would probably never need to pay me. If you're buying like 99% of the time, you're buying a home that's listed in the multiple listing service where the seller is offering a commission to their agent who then splits that with me because I bring you to the deal and I help facilitate the transaction from your side and I work with the seller's agent. Even though I'm working on your behalf, we still have to work together to make things happen. 99 out of 100 times, there would be no question that you don't pay me. I don't work for free, but you as the buyer don't have to pay me. If there is a for sale by owner that you want to go see, all I ask is that one, before we go see the home, I get a chance to talk to the sellers to the seller and see if they'll pay my commission. Most of the time, they're doing a for sale by owner because they want to save money, which is great, but they don't want to pay an agent's commission. But a lot of them will pay a buyer's agent's commission because they're still saving about 3%. If they won't pay my commission, then what I'm asking you is that you and I sit down and talk about how I would get paid. And before we submit any offers, there are ways we can work that out. Maybe you offer a slightly higher price and the seller agrees to that, and then they're able to pay me out of that higher price. There are ways we can figure that out. Bottom line, I'm here to help you, and I'm not going to stand in the way of you buying a home. And if the seller's not going to pay me and you can't afford to pay me, then I'll step out and let you do it by yourself.
Well, it makes sense.
Okay, cool. So probably the most important first step, other than talking to us and getting an understanding of how the process works, is talking to a lender. I'm assuming you don't have a giant pile of money that you've been hiding and that you're going to have to get a loan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you talked to any lenders at all yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, no problem. Great place to find lenders are either your current bank or credit union. And also, I can recommend one or two lenders that I've worked with many times. They provide great service and communication. To be perfectly honest with you, most lenders are going to be somewhere within a very small range on interest rate. But what differentiates one lender from another is the service they provide and how quickly they communicate and solve problems, and also what their fees are. So the one local lender that I really like, her name is Kristen Johnson. She is very competitive with her rates. She will also match the fees of any other company, and she provides exceptional service. She's very, very skilled at educating her clients and managing a deal. The other lender I'd recommend is Keller Mortgage. Now, I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I don't get like gold star or kickbacks or refunds or anything like that. The reason I recommend Keller Mortgage is, even though they're an arm of my brokerage, my company, but they don't charge any fees, and they give you $1,000 cash back at closing. So that could save you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 out of pocket on closing day.
Very cool.
And if you talk to them, you might want to talk to Kristen and see if she can match that. Recommended lenders, as well as inspectors and home insurance brokers, are at the bottom of this document on the last page.
Cool.
So the main reason you want to talk to a lender first, the main thing is you want to find out how much of a loan do you qualify for? What's your maximum purchase price? And also, no seller is going to accept an offer from someone that is not already spoken to a lender. So the lender will ask you questions and collect some information from you, like information about your credit cards, pay stubs, credit history, income, savings, how much money you have in the bank, things like that. And they will be able to tell you, all right, you can afford a maximum purchase price of this, and that corresponds to a monthly payment of that. Just because they tell you that maximum number does not mean you have to spend that much. I would rather have you spend as little as possible to get the house you want where it is, where you want it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. So, I never want people to be house rich and life poor. If they say you can afford a $600,000 house with a $3,000 month mortgage payment, great. But that means you're eating ramen noodles every night for 10 years. That's probably not the life you want to live. So whatever number they tell you, let's figure out, or they'll also help you figure out what that is on a monthly payment. And if that doesn't work for you, then you can say, no, you told me this much monthly, but I want to pay this much monthly. What does that look like on a purchase price? And we'll set that as our maximum. So we're only looking at homes that fit in your.
Is that too loud?
Whose dog is that? Is that yours, Dylan?
Yeah, sorry. 1 second.
Oh, no worries.
Hey, Eden. Eden. I'm in a meeting right now. Continue without me. We're having an emergency.
Okay. All right, Susie, you're my buyer. Okay, so they'll also look at things like the ratio of your debt to your income, or your debt to how much your equity, how much assets you have. So they will be requesting information like the things I mentioned before. So something else you want to do on the financial side is save money. How much money do you have saved up now at this point that you could use? Not necessarily an emergency fund, but how much do you have saved up? How much do you have saved up for your house purchase?
About $2,500.
Okay, that is a really good start. I'm glad to hear that. I realize in this economy with prices going up for everything, especially like gas and utilities, it can be hard to save money. So that's a really good start. One of the things that, now I'm kind of thinking ahead here, one of the things when we submit an offer, one of the things that the seller is going to want or demand is something called earnest money. Have you ever heard of that term before?
Yes.
Okay. So this is like your deposit. Like if you were
What
to
it-
buy a used car or even a new car, they say, put $1,000 down and we'll hold that car for you. And if you don't buy it within 48 hours, we'll give you that money back. Your earnest money is kind of like that, hold this for me. Typically, sellers are expecting 1% of the sale price as earnest money. So a $300,000 house, 1% is 300,000. A $500,000 house, 1% is $5,000. So depending on how much the purchase price is of the home, that $2,500, you're probably going to have to save up some more money or get a gift from someone to have that amount.
Okay.
When we're talking about a home, I just want to get just a general number. Are you looking at a single family home or a townhouse or condo? Which is your preference?
Whatever I can afford. I just want to get into the market.
Okay. All right. We can jump back to Dylan now.
Perfect.
All right. So Dylan, you just want to jump in the market from a financial sense and looking at your home as something that's going to grow in value. I think that's actually a good idea because you probably can't save money at the same rate that home values are going up. So what town generally would you like to be in? What area do you prefer?
I really like Northern Colorado, but I know it can be a little pricey up there.
Okay, so if you were going to pick a town, like, are you talking like Eaton or Evans or Fort Collins, Loveland?
I like Loveland if we can find an affordable, a place I can afford.
Okay, so you said you've saved $2,500 so far, which is a really good start. Don't spend that on something else. I know Christmas is coming up and you want to maybe go away for a weekend or spend it on gifts. Save your money. The people that love you will understand that you just gave them a hug for Christmas and a card and that you're saving for a home. It's okay. I asked about where you want to be and what you want to buy. In Loveland, it's almost impossible to find a townhouse for under like 325 or 350. That's going to be a stretch. So I think that $2,500 that you've saved as a start, I would plan on saving like another couple $1,000 if possible.
Okay.
Now there are, we'll get, forget what I was going to say. We'll get to that later. So once you go through that process with the lender, they're going to give you something called a pre-approval letter, which is basically a statement on their letterhead that says, we've looked into Dylan's finances and based on what he's given us, he's approved for a loan of this type, let's say an FHA loan, for a purchase price up to $350,000. We're going to need that letter because, like I said before, it tells us, one, what's your top dollar? What should we stay at or below? And also, we're going to send that letter along with any offers we write. So the seller is reassured, oh, okay, Dylan's talked to a lender already. He's good for the money. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Dylan? Dylan's internet's frozen.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we're through that exciting financial stuff,
You
now we
guys
actually get to go shopping. So at this point, I've been sending you home so you see what's on the market and how much what your money buys you in different towns, size of the house, condition of the property. But now we can go out shopping. So once you get that pre-approval letter, that's the green light. And we can spend a few hours or most of a day going around to look at different properties. And I'll ask you at each place, what do you like about this one? What do you dislike? Honestly, you will I'm not expecting you to walk into any of the first 1, 2, or 3 homes we see and go, yes, this is the one I wanted. That's highly unlikely. But after you see a few homes, you will probably develop very quickly an idea of what you like and what you don't. And as I'm sending you homes, you'll be able to save favorites and also view all the details, like how many square feet and beds and baths and all the pictures, all that stuff. You'll be able to save that. We'll go out and look at homes, and when we see one you like, I'll ask you, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you like this home? How does it compare to the other ones? 1 being, no way, I would never, ever live here. Get me out. 10 being perfect. It has all my requirements and a bunch of stuff that I really like, but don't necessarily need. Buy it now. Take my money. Understanding that perfect 10s do not exist. There's always trade-offs in real estate. So if we go to a home and you say, yeah, this one's an 8 or a 9, we should probably write an offer on that one. 8s have everything you absolutely require and some stuff you like and want. 9s are almost perfect. So if we see an 8 or a 9, I'm going to encourage you to write an offer on it. How are you feeling? Am I going too quick? Is this good information?
No, this is great.
Okay.
How often do you think we're going to find an 8 or a 9 then?
Probably before we see 10 homes.
Okay, cool.
My average up until this year, my average was like 4 or 5.
Perfect.
Some people saw 2 homes, some people saw 7 homes, and kind of averaged out to about 5 houses, and they were like, yep, this is the one, let's do it.
Perfect.
So at that point, now we're talking about, all right, we like this house. This is the one we want, you want. And now we're talking about writing an offer. So at that point, we will put together a contract that outlines the terms of the transaction, not only how much you'll pay and when you're going to complete the sale, otherwise known as closing date, but how much money you're going to put down, what kind of loan you're going to use, when the deadlines are for the seller sending you all kinds of information about the home, and your deadline for responding to that information. You've probably heard the term inspection before, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have really all the power in once you're under contract, you have all the control. You have all these opportunities to review information about the house. And if there's anything you don't like, as long as we terminate the contract by the deadline associated with that particular piece of information, you can walk away and get your earnest money back. So the inspection, you have the inspection, you find some items you don't like. We can try and negotiate a solution with the seller. Maybe they reduce the price, maybe they just fix stuff, or maybe it's a combination of those things. And we come to a resolution and you continue with the process, continue with the purchase. Or maybe we can't reach a resolution, or you find something really wrong with the house, like the roof is collapsing. You're like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with that. We get out of the deal, we protect your earnest money, you walk away, and we find another house. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Cool. Okay. So I kind of got a little ahead of myself, but we write up the offer and we send it to the seller. And we'll give them maybe 18 to 24 hours, maybe a little more, to respond to that. And then, and at that point, the seller could do one of 3 things. They accept it as written. This looks great. I love it. Dylan, you're the best. We're going to accept your offer and get under contract the way the offer's written. That could happen. The other option is that they reject it or they don't respond and the offer expires. And basically they're either saying no or they're meaning no by silence. Okay. That could happen if they got a pile of better offers that they thought were better. That could happen. But what's also likely is that the third option is that there might be some negotiation back and forth, whether they are talking directly to me and saying, well, we like Dylan's offer and even the price is good, but can we move the closing date up a little bit? Or, hey, we got another, you offered 350, but another buyer offered 360. Can you beat that? And maybe you can and you want to, so we up the price a little bit and then they accept the offer. So there could be a little back and forth there. But I'm negotiating on your behalf. I'm not speaking for you. So there's back and forth. They talk to me, I talk to you, get your decision, I go back to them. Okay.
Perfect. Makes sense.
Okay. So now we move on to step 5. So let's say we get under contract. They accept the offer that you wrote. So now this is where I mentioned Savannah, our licensed transaction manager. This is where she comes in. She is really good at paperwork, dates and deadlines, and also negotiating, especially inspection items. So she will be, at this point, she will be the person that you're talking to even more than me at this point. And she will be giving you very regular updates. If we need anything, she now starts to play like traffic cop in the middle of the intersection, talking to the lender, talking to the title company, talking to the other agent, helping coordinate things. So she'll let you know what the next steps are, how to get earnest money to the title company. She'll make sure that any loose ends with your lender get taken care of. She'll help you schedule the inspection. And then when the inspection's done, she'll review that report with you. And she'll help negotiate on your behalf. Remember, she's an agent also, just like I am, so she can negotiate in your best interest as well.
So,
While all those things have been happening, we've also told your lender, hey, Dylan's under contract for 123 Main Street, order the appraisal. So have you heard, do you understand what the appraisal is? Do you know what that is?
not fully.
Okay. Most new buyers don't. So here's what that means. We've decided on a contract price with the seller. The seller said, I'll sell it for that. And you said, I'll pay that much. But the bank is the one putting up the majority of the money for that. So they want an independent third party, the appraiser, to go out, compare the purchase price and the property to other recently sold homes that have sold nearby that are very similar, and give an estimated value or the appraised value. And the main reason they're doing that is, let's say you're a bad boy and you don't make your mortgage payments. The collateral for your loan is the house. So if you pay, you stay, and if you don't, you won't. What happens is foreclosure. You probably heard that term.
Yes.
That's where the bank says, you haven't paid your mortgage payments, so we're getting the house back. They don't want to lend you $350,000 for a house that's only, maybe they made a mistake and it's only worth $300,000. Well, their money is gone and they got back this thing that's worth a lot less than what they paid for it. So the appraisal protects them. If the appraised value is not at least what the purchase price is for, like if it's below, then they're going to say, we're not lending you $350,000. We'll lend you up to the maximum appraised value of $345,000. So if that happens, there's ways to overcome that. There's ways to deal with that. But I'm just letting you know that this process is happening while you're working through the inspection, talking to the title company, and all. So these things are happening in parallel. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We're also going to get something called title work, which means the title company is going to be reviewing and doing research, actually kind of on your behalf, about the legal ownership and the legal history of the property, making sure that you're not going to inherit any debts related to the house, that the mortgage gets paid off, They're going to hold the earnest money. They'll prepare documents. They'll file information on public records. They'll prepare all the loan documents. So we need them to do all this work too. If the house is in an HOA, we'll get the covenants and rules and regulations so you can review that. And let's say you look through there and you say, wait a minute, I can't paint this front door red. I'm out. As long as we terminate by the HOA documents termination deadline, you'll get your earnest money back. You also need to make sure that you can get homeowners insurance or property insurance. So we'll be helping you make sure getting all this stuff gets done. So you also we can recommend movers or places to rent a truck, pick a moving date. So all this, everything that's been happening from the day you go under contract up until the finalization of the sale or closing date, that's about 30, maybe 45 days. All this stuff is happening and we're helping you manage all these dates, okay? So now we get up to the closing day, step 7. So you need to bring a few things. 1, valid driver's license, they need ID. 2, your down payment, which depending on what kind of loan you get, could be maybe 3.5%, or there's some loans out there with no down payment, only $1,000 down. You need to bring a cashier's check from your bank for that total amount minus your earnest money. So if you put down $4,000 earnest money and the total down payment is, let's say, $10,000, you've already put down 4, the remainder is 6. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. So the title company will be talking to you, not an email, but they'll be talking to you and giving you instructions about how to wire funds in for your lender. And then we go to closing. So I'm just assuming everything's been working smoothly. We go to closing. So at closing, we go to the title company's office. We sit around a big table. I'll be there with you. And we basically sign a bunch of documents. You probably meet the seller there. They sign documents that say, yep, we're selling the property to Dylan. Dylan signs papers that says, I am now the owner of this house. And you'll also sign a bunch of paperwork for the loan that says, I understand the terms of my loan and I promise to pay it. And then once all the paperwork is signed, you own the house. You don't have to wait for stuff to get filed at the county records. You get the keys right there. It's yours and you get to move in. And that's it.
Very cool. Seems like sort of a complicated process. So will you be there with me the entire way?
Absolutely. I take my job as your agent very seriously. I kind of see myself as an educator and a guide. Whether you had never bought a house before, or this is your 5th home you're buying, I will just make sure that at each step, I'm always checking in with you. Not only is everything good and on track, but also, do you understand and are you comfortable with what's happening and what's next? That way you're driving the bus. I'm just kind of giving you instructions and direction.
Totally makes sense.
Okay, cool. So are you comfortable with everything we've gone over so far?
I will be.
Okay, I get it. It's a big step, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any questions about the process?
Not any that comes to mind, but my friends might possibly.
Who,
Hey, Rod, I have a question, not specific to, your conversation at this point in time, but right now you're presenting to Dylan, who's never gone through this process before. How thorough do you go through the process with someone that's buying their 4th home, or do you use it more in selling yourself, your systems, and your team?
I'll ask the question, when was the last time you bought a home? Do you want me to go through the home buying process with you? I will check for understanding and I'll ask, did they buy their last home? Were they buying in Colorado?
Okay.
I'll highlight things that may have changed. but I'll go through it at a much higher level.
Okay.
They probably understand the concept of talking to a lender, the reason that's important. They understand earnest money, down payment. They know what happens at closing, but I'll I may skip most of this. Like this was just almost a half an hour, which I'm happy to do with a new buyer.
Mhm.
Actually like doing it because I'm teaching them something. But I'll ask them, I'll say something, maybe it might be more like, okay, Susie, I know Billy Bob recommended me, and I really appreciate that. I also know that like you told me, this next home you buy will be your 5th house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And have you previously bought homes in Colorado?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time you bought a house? When was that?
15 years ago.
15. Okay. So things have changed a little bit. I mean, mostly the market has changed a lot since then. But would it be helpful for you if I just sort of skimmed over the major steps in the process, or do you feel really comfortable with that? And we don't need to do that. It's up to you.
You can skim over it. That'd be great.
Okay. So at that point, now I know they're just like, be like, okay, partner with us. Here's the structure of our team. You want to talk to a lender. Here's why. In this market, now we're talking about like specific, say the market has changed a lot in 15 years. In this market, it's very competitive, and every other buyer out there is going to be pre-approved. We're not going to have time to ask a seller to wait for us to get pre-approved and sit on our offer, because they're going to get 3 or 5 or 10 other offers from people that are already pre-approved and possibly cash. So do you have a lender you can go to today or tomorrow and get a pre-approval letter?
I do.
Okay.
I already actually have one, so I can get you guys in touch.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. So then I would still ask about maximum, and what's your comfort range? I've told people that are in the $800,000 range, I want you to buy the least expensive house that you want, because people at $800,000 don't want to pay more than they have to either. Talk a little bit about negotiating. Under contract, I'll talk more about, I'll still talk about Savannah and the benefits of working with her. A lot of my reason for doing that is, this is agent to agent talking, not agent to buyer, because I want to set the stage for her to come in and that build the buyer's confidence in this other person on my team who they have no idea who the hell she is. Even if she's amazing, I want them to be like, okay, I know how this is going to work, and I'm not going to feel like I'm just getting passed around. That feels yucky. No one likes that.
Yep.
So I'll talk about a little bit of, I'll say, okay, since you've done this before, you understand there's an inspection stage. As long as we terminate, you'll get your earnest money back. You've had inspections before, right? Oh yeah, we've done that. Okay, excellent. Appraisal will happen, just so you know, in this competitive market. Sometimes if home prices get bid up, it's possible for the appraisal to come in a little lower. They've caught up a lot since the spring, but it's still a possibility. Let's see, I'll talk about closing, and then closing day. It's the same thing that happened before. It's probably very similar. You sign a pile of paper for the ownership of the house and the promise to pay the loan. And then I'll check. I went through that quickly. I know you're a knowledgeable home buyer. Do you have any questions about that process? Okay, great. I know you've done this before. I don't want to make assumptions, and I know you're smart and educated. I just don't want to assume you know something and then have you question something later. I've never had an experienced buyer question that or think I'm making them feel ignorant. Never. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions about the process or how I explained it?
Does the amount of time it takes to do a full presentation for someone, does it depend on basically their knowledge? Or do you find it's usually an hour to a half hour?
I'm usually, so I do three things. One, I explain the process. I interview them about their wants and needs in this sheet. And then I'll say, how are you doing on time? Do you have like another 15, maybe 20 minutes? And we can talk about how I'll work with you as your agent. And they'll usually say, yeah, I've got time. Great. And then I'll screen share the buyer agreement. So with those three things, usually I'm about hour and 15, maybe even an hour and a half.
Okay.
Rebecca gives me shit about this all the time. And she's right. It does take me a little too long. I get too explainy.
Explaining. That's good though. That's, I think, a way to build the trust.
That's the way I look at it.
And you could read the body language. You can tell if they're, engaged in listening, or you can tell if they're starting to zone out.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So with those three things. So Dylan, it will take more time with someone who either has a lot of questions, which is great because it tells me they're engaged. It's like the less of a lecture and the more of a conversation, the better. Like I know it's going well. And I'm building that rapport. If they're experienced buyer, I've had it take 20 minutes, half an hour. They're like, yep, I know. Yep, I'll sign with you. No problem. Yes, I'm familiar with agency versus transaction broker. Yep, just send it to me. I'm good. I'll ask them, okay, I'll send it to you. Read over if you have any questions. I'm going to put in a 6-month time frame just because you told me you might buy as late as May. Is that okay? Yep, cool. Great. Boom, boom, boom. DocuSign out.
Perfect. Would you have, I just had a question, totally spaced. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
I have a quick question too. I just need to turn my light on. It's when you screen share the buyer's agency, do you also share like the additional disclosures, or just say this is the primary contract, everything else is just a disclosure, or do you go over every detail through brand new?
Really good question. So no, what I do is I'll screen share and go over the buyer agreement, and I can get through that in about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And then I say, okay, I'm going to send this to you. I ask, have you used DocuSign before? I explain that if I need to. And I'll say, all right, I'm going to send over this buyer agreement. And I'm also going to send over one other document. It's called a buyer advisory. That's really just informational. You can read through that. It's written in pretty plain English. And it's information, things that are good and helpful for you to know. So I'll send that over for you to sign as well. And it works perfectly every time.
Perfect.
Okay.
I remember my question.
Yeah.
Do you ever show up to presentations and like, do you think a lot of buyers already decide that they're going to sign that contract with you before you even walk through the door? Or do you think you have to one mess them over?
I think it feels like probably 90% of the time that they're going to sign with me.
Okay.
And NAR statistics back that up. I think it's something like 70 or 75% of people sign with the first agent.
78%.
Okay. So you have like, it's statistics wise,
Totally makes
it's
sense.
yours to lose. Most people, if you hit it off and you build rapport and do a good job explaining things, they're probably going to sign with you.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah, cool. All right, so let's jump back into the role play. Dylan, you're back to being a buyer. All right, so Dylan, if it's okay with you, I want to we talked about how the home buying process works, but what's really most important is that I understand what you're looking for, where you want to move to and why. Let's start with why you're moving. Tell me about why you want to get your first home.
Well, I was talking to my friend. She explained to me how you explained to her that you can save. It's hard to save the amount of money that that homes right now are appraising for or appreciating at.
Mhm. So is this more of like an investment or a financial move for you?
It's a financial move just because COVID's been hard on the family. So
Okay. And I think that's great. I mentioned before that, I mean, if home values, I think the past couple of years are unusual in homes going up 10 to 20%. But I think they're going to continue to rise for the next year or so. How long do you think you would be in this home?
honestly, the minimum of 3 years. I don't know the maximum, but minimum of 3.
Okay, good. I think we are due for an easing or maybe even a slight decline in home values. That could come. No one knows exactly when. The fundamentals of our local housing market are strong. But if you're going to be in the home, I'd say 5 to 10 years, I feel very comfortable saying that it's going to be worth more than what you pay today.
Okay, yeah.
And most people live in their homes 7 to 10 years. So other than, okay, so finances, good investment. It sounds like you also want to take care of the family. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So who else would be living in the home with you?
My girlfriend, my dog, and my cat.
Gotcha. Okay. So I understand you're buying the home yourself. Your girlfriend, what's her name again?
Keaton.
Keaton. Okay. I understand Keaton may not be financially part of this process, but would you still say her opinion is going to factor into things?
Slightly, but mainly it's gonna be my decision.
Okay, very good. That is totally up to you. However you want to do that. So, and if she's going to come to showings with us, that's fine. Totally cool. It's up to you.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. So I want to make sure I've got your contact information right. You gave me your dylanisawesome@gmail. Tell me, where are you living right now? You're renting, right?
Yeah, we're renting in Greeley.
Okay. And what's your address there?
2111 1 Avenue.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And for timing, like how soon do you want to be moved in, living in your new house?
So my lease is up in 4 months.
Okay.
So I'd like to get out before then, because I could probably find someone to cover the rest of my rent or to move in before I move out.
Okay. Does your lease allow you to have a sublease or have someone take over it?
No, but our landlords are very lenient. So I think we could strike up a deal. They'd be
Okay.
okay.
That's great that they're accommodating and they sound like really cool people. I would make sure, because leases are legal documents, and if something didn't go your way, the only thing that you and the landlord would fall back on as the definitive agreement is the lease. So if you guys agree that something could change, just make sure you get it in writing.
Well, our rent is so cheap that we can cover both of them for at least we can pay for the next 4 months.
Okay. I don't think that would be a problem with the lender. But I think that I'm not really concerned about it. Just something to be aware of. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like within 4 months, if we found a house sooner than that looked great, and you were able to close in 2 months, would that be a problem?
A little quicker would be nice, but I understand it takes that's a process.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the reasons why it's good to get pre-approved with a lender. When you think about a comfort range of maybe how much you'd be comfortable with on a monthly payment or a purchase price, have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, we're thinking like 1,500 for the max of a monthly payment. If we have to, that's max. We prefer to go under if we can.
Okay, so what would be ideal?
Let's 1,200.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, is anyone, so I know you saved up a bit of money. Is anyone going to be providing a gift or any other financial assistance to you?
No, but we're going to be renting out at least one, so that should help with the mortgage payment.
Okay. The lender will not be able to count that as income for you, but I think that'll like that. So that won't affect how much they approve you for on a monthly payment or a purchase price. But after once you own the house, that would definitely help you. That's
Okay,
good.
good enough.
Okay. So before you said Northern Colorado, Loveland, do you why those areas? Tell me what is it about Loveland that you prefer?
I just always thought it was a pretty town, good community. But then again, we're doing it for the financial matters, so it doesn't have to be in Loveland.
Okay, well, I think Loveland is, I think just in terms of investment and appreciation, I think Loveland is a great idea. And I think homes hold their value better and have gone up quicker in Loveland compared to some other towns, especially in Weld County. Like East Greeley, for example. Generally speaking, if you're west of I-25, homes are going to be more expensive and hold their value better. So, but it sounds like you're open. Like if we found a really great townhouse or a home or a condo in like Berthoud or Johnstown or maybe even Fort Collins, would that be okay?
Absolutely, we'll check them out.
Okay. By the way, how far of a commute? Like max, if we drew a circle on the map, how big can that circle go? Like, do you want to go up to like Lyons and Estes?
Not necessarily. We'd prefer to stay more in the front range.
Okay. Okay. All right. That helps me know where to look and also exclude places that won't work, that would not be ideal for you. Okay. When we talk about this, let's talk about the size of the house. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms would
Hey,
be?
I'm gonna check.
Someone saying something?
Susie?
I'm gonna check out. I have dinner plans and I gotta get a little bit of work done between 5 and 6. So
Okay.
thank you very much, and let's coordinate again. This is
right.
awesome.
See ya.
Okay,
Adios.
bye.
Okay, so for beds and baths, how many bedrooms and bathrooms would you like?
2 bed for a guest room. We have a lot of family visiting, and 1 bathroom will do for us.
Okay. That will help keep the price down, but one bathroom homes, they're worth a little less, so they sell for less, but they're also a little less desirable. So they're just also in terms of living in a house with 1 bathroom, that means you and your girlfriend are sharing 1 bathroom all the time, and guests are using the same bathroom that you're using all the time. There's not like a powder room or a guest bathroom. So just thinking ahead, since you're the one that mentioned financial appreciation, I would just, in terms of desirability, just an extra half bath, which is a toilet and a sink, that can make a house more appealing.
No, that totally makes sense. And we would prefer 2 bathrooms. So
Okay.
let's see what the pre-approval comes through and see if we can afford it.
Right. Good. Okay. Do you prefer a specific number of garage spaces and whether it's attached or unattached or just like a parking lot?
I mean, a 2-car garage would be nice, but we never really thought of it.
Okay. And you said before, like condo, townhouse, standalone home, doesn't matter, right?
Just gotta have a roof.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have any, do you or your girlfriend or the pets, less concerned about the pets, any physical limitations or concerns about having stairs in the house?
Not at all.
Okay, cool. All right. Those are sort of the basics. Is there anything you really like that if the house had it, it would make it really ideal?
Indoor heating is a must.
Indoor heating?
Yep. And yeah, we haven't really thought that far ahead.
Okay,
The 2 bedrooms is a big one for us.
gotcha. Okay. Every house is going to have some sort of heat, I promise.
Perfect. And actually, there is one thing. Yard for the dog would be nice.
Okay, good call. Do you need it to be fenced when you buy it, or would you be willing to put up a fence after you buy it? Okay, okay. And is there anything that is an absolute deal killer? Don't even want to look at the house.
It just can't be too trashy. We want to live in a healthy condition.
Okay, when you say, tell me a little bit more about that.
It has to be in a good physical condition. Not even good, just decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not a fixer-upper. You want to be able to move in and just
Well,
live.
we can do some fixing up, but just not. We're setting the bar in the medium, if that makes sense.
Okay. I think we'll get a better sense of that when we go see a few homes, but it sounds like you're saying you're willing to do a little cosmetic work. You want to make sure the house, like it's healthy and functioning.
Perfectly said.
Okay.
And what I meant earlier, I meant AC, not heat.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
AC. Got it. Wrote it down. Okay. All right. Is there anything that I need to know about you or your family or about the house you're looking for that we have not touched on?
No, we both work in Northern Colorado and work in Dragon, so location isn't doesn't have to be too specific. Yep.
Okay. All right. You sound really flexible about that, which I think is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, cool. Okay, so just kind of breaking the role play here. At this point, I would shift to the buyer agreement. Because so I've checked, does Dylan have any questions? Is there anything else I need to know? He said no. So at this point, I would say, so Dylan, the last thing I wanted to go over was talk about just how I'll work with you and my promise to you as your agent. Has anyone ever talked with you about the difference between like realtor versus broker versus agent? Have you ever gone over that with anyone?
No.
Okay. All right. If you have a few more minutes, like maybe 10 or 15 minutes, if we can, do you want to talk about that next?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So breaking again, the fact that no one has talked with him, and amazingly, a lot of agents won't even cover this. No one's talked with him about the difference between a buyer's agent and just a transaction broker. This is a huge opportunity to build trust and express value. That to me is a big opportunity. So it's an in. So, all right. So I will, give me a second. I'm going to find a buyer agreement.
Thanks again for doing this, Rod. It's much appreciated.
Okay. New share. All right, Dylan. So can you see on your screen the document that says exclusive right to buy?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we talked earlier about contract between you and the seller. This is the written agreement between you and me. This explains what our working relationship is going to be. And really, this is written by lawyers. There's a lot of legally language in there, so I'm not going to go over this word for word. I'm going to just kind of skim over what each section means. But in a nutshell, this is my promise to you of how we're going to work together and what I'm going to do to support you as your advocate. And this says, we're not getting married, we're going steady. And if you don't think things are working out, we can break up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So has anyone ever explained to you the difference between working with a real estate professional as an agent or a broker or a realtor? Like, do you understand the difference between those three things?
I don't know the difference between those three things.
Okay, so you've watched a football game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a real estate professional licensed in the state of Colorado, I can work with you in really two different ways. And those are similar to like a coach on a team or a referee in the football game. So I can work with you as an agent, as your buyer's agent, that's like the coach, or I can work with you as what's called a transaction broker, which is more like the referee. So the referee is kind of somewhat of a neutral facilitator of the game. They make sure everyone follows the rules. They explain the rules and how the game works if it needs to be. If something isn't going right, they will try and get the game back on track. And they want to see the game go smoothly and get to the end and finish on time. That's like a transaction broker. The referee does not have a duty or an advocate position or a fiduciary role for either team. They're neutral. They just want to see the game played within the rules and complete. So a transaction broker, if I was out working as a transaction broker with you, I'm not your advocate. I'm explaining things to you and doing what you request of me, but I'm not necessarily telling you, I'm not giving you my wisdom and my advice and necessarily the benefits of my experience. That's the referee. On the other hand, a buyer's agent is like the coach. So a coach on the team, they're on the sideline. Sometimes they wear the uniform of their team. They will do everything they can within the rules and within their knowledge and expertise. They will pour into the team to help them win. They won't break the rules, but they're the advocate for their team. They'll throw the red penalty flag if they think something wasn't right or doesn't benefit their team. And also, if they know something about the other team, like the quarterback has a sprained left ankle, so they can't throw to the left, they're going to tell their team about that to give them an advantage to win. That's what a buyer's agent is like. So I'm your advocate. I'm not only explaining everything and making sure everything goes smoothly, but I'm also telling you, I'm giving you the benefit of my experience and my wisdom. I'm counseling you, and I'm your advocate in negotiation. So I am negotiating for your best interests. And if I know something about the seller or the seller's agent that's going to give you a bargaining advantage and help you get terms or pricing that's better for you, I'm going to tell you. That's what you want,
Okay,
right?
cool.
That's what you want, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So every buyer I work with says exactly the same thing. They want an agent, not a broker. So I went ahead and checked buyer's agent. Section 2 says I work for a company where there's more than one agent. I'm not the only one. There's about 150 of us at Keller Williams Realty, Northern Colorado. This says who you are. Let's pretend it has your name there. This says this is the name of my brokerage. And remember I said there's the three of us working together. There's me and my wife, Rebecca, and there's also our rock star transaction manager, Savannah. So all three of us work for you as buyer's agents. And I'm gonna.
Make sure my phone doesn't go off during your appointment.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So this says, all right, for this discussion, properties that meet the buyer's needs, that's all it says here, okay? This other stuff, that was specific to this investor buyer, so we'll just pretend that doesn't exist.
Okay.
So I put here, property that meets the buyer's needs. I didn't want to be really specific here because maybe you find something a little different than what we've been discussing. I'm still going to help you buy that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're not interested in a lease. We're just talking about a purchase. And then listing period, this is the time of agreement, kind of like the beginning and end of this agreement to work together. So today, we'll start it today. So let's say it says December 14th. And I put an end date of May 31st. So actually, you said 4 months. So that is January, February, March, April. So you want to be in your house, completed purchase, done by the end of April, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I wrote in here. Remember I said that lawyers write this? Well, lawyers have to define a day ends at 11:59. And also I put in here that that if the day of a deadline that we're working on falls on a weekend or a state or federal holiday, we'll automatically bump that deadline out to the next working day. So we don't have to work on holidays or weekends. Again, reiterating with you, I'm going to work with you as a buyer's agent only. Okay. This section also says that even if the house you want to buy is being sold by another agent in my brokerage, in my company, I will still work with you as a buyer's agent. I don't have any loyalty or change the way I work with you just because that other agent is in my office, and everything you and I do is confidential. Okay. Okay, so brokerage duties. So this is the minimum of what I'll do. Even if I was working with a transaction broker, this is the minimum that I would have to do. Perform terms of any written or oral agreement, present offers in a timely manner, disclose to you things about the property that I actually know, things that are wrong with it that I actually know. I'll account for money in a timely manner. I'll keep you informed about the transaction. I will not disclose to the seller that you're willing to pay more than you offer. I won't tell the seller what your motivations are, and I won't tell them that you would agree to financing terms other than what you presented in an offer. I won't share anything else with the seller about you as a person or your life or your lifestyle. None of that is relevant to the transaction unless lying or not disclosing it is illegal, or failure to disclose it would be fraudulent. So like if you want to put an offer in on a $900,000 house, but you're qualified up to 400,000, first of all, I'm probably not going to submit that offer, but if you say submit it, I'll submit it. And then I have to tell the agent, look, Dylan is not qualified to buy this house. Like I can't lie on your behalf. Okay. This also says that there may come a time where I may discuss in total confidentiality something about your real estate purchase with my managing broker, but that is in total confidence if I need some higher level advice. Also, I am working with several buyers right now. It's possible that a house you like, they may want to see also. And this says that I may show the same house to two different people. Okay. Once you're under contract, I'm not going to encourage you to look at other homes because we want to work hard to get that house for you. However, if the deal starts to look shaky or it's not going well, I will start looking for plan B. I will start looking for other homes for you, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. I don't have to conduct an inspection. And because I'm not an expert in inspections, I know a lot about houses. But I can't verify the accuracy or completeness of any information that the seller gives us. And if I, let's see, and also if I do something wrong or forget to do something, it's not your fault. That's on me. I carry $1 million liability insurance policy to cover me. You don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now, this is the section. Section 6 talks about the additional level of advocacy and guidance that I provide as an agent beyond transaction broker. So I promote your best interest beyond everyone else's, including my own. If I think you need, if there's information about the property or about the deal that might cause you to terminate, I'm going to tell you, which means that I'm not going to get paid. I still want you to know about that.
What would happen if me and another one of your buyers started bidding war on the same house?
Okay. Even before we got to that point, because what you're talking about is a real conflict of interest, right? How can I be an advocate for buyer number 1 and buyer number 2? I've had that happen once in 10 years. Before you even got into that situation, I would talk with both of you separately and say, look, I have another buyer that's interested in this home. I can't in good conscience act as an agent for both of you and advise you on how much to offer or what the competition looks like. I can't do that. It's a terrible conflict of interest, and it doesn't, but more importantly, it doesn't serve you the way you deserve to be supported. So if that happened, I would offer to both of you to work with another agent in my office, not someone on my team, another agent in my office that would do a great job. And if you are comfortable with that, they would take over supporting you. And that way you are represented by an agent with no conflict of interest.
Makes sense.
Okay. Is that comfortable for you?
I do have a question breaking out of it. Is there a contract that they could sign that's only you'll put that buyer, like, refer to someone else only for that deal though? Like, can they go back to you after that deal's done?
Yeah, exactly. I would go back up here to property 3.4. And I would say, I would just write in the address. 123 Main Street. So like, let's say you were going to go work with Billy Broker. Like, let's say I had, in that situation, I had to refer you to someone else to buy that house. You would sign a buyer agreement with them for that house only.
That makes sense.
Okay.
What
So
would the date look like on that?
what would the date?
Would you have to make it like just a shorter date, or is it until that address? So they can't come back at you if you put in that address, though. The other broker, like, they can't do anything to you.
Right. I would do 60 days.
Okay.
45 days. And it is really, like, you're referring to someone else in our office, highly unlikely that there would be some sort of nasty conflict. The other agent's going to be happy to help you because they're going to get paid something. You're still going to probably get a referral fee, like probably 50-50. It's up to you, but I would do 50-50. And you explain to them, look, here's the situation I'm in. Would you help Dylan and act as his buyer's agent for this deal only? If he doesn't get this house, then, or if he gets the house, you see it through to completion and close. But if he doesn't, then you terminate with him on your buyer agreement for this property, and I get him back. And they'll say, sure, sounds great.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so, all right. Seek pricing terms that are acceptable to you. So what this really says is I'm negotiating for you on your behalf. I'm not representing the seller. I'm negotiating for what you want. And then the last piece there, counsel you, not just tell you, hey, there's mold in the attic, but counsel you on how to negotiate through that, getting bids for it, what it might cost to get that mediated, or maybe it's already factored into the price and you're getting a steal on the house. It's $100,000 under value and only costs $10,000 to mediate. My suggestion is to buy it. So that's the additional, my additional duties, my promise to you as your agent. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. I'll go through section 7 about how I get paid, and then I need to stop. I need to go stick a sign in a yard. Section 7 says, this really explains how I get paid. There's no retainer, there's no additional fee. I get paid when your purchase closes. And if we put a contract in and it doesn't get accepted, or you get under contract and the deal terminates because of inspection items or for whatever reason, you don't owe me any money. Okay. I typically receive a 3% of the sale price commission, usually not less than 2.8. I will promise you that I am not, if they're offering 2.5, I am not going to come chase you down for 0.03%. That's not going to happen. You did ask me earlier about for sale by owner. So I added that in here already because I've had a lot of people ask me this. It's a good question. So what it says here is that before we submit an offer for sell by owner property, I want to contact that seller first and see if they'll pay my commission. And if they won't, before we submit an offer, let's just you and I talk and figure out how I would get paid.
So two things, Rod, sorry to interrupt. So can you go back to the 7 point we're up ahead? On that one, you had stated, and I've explained this to a prior client before, but you had stated you're not going to go after them for the 0.3%. Is there somewhere in there that we can add that? That's one question. And two, when you go back down to the for sale by owner, you added that. Is that a clause or is that something you just added?
I added that, the for sale by owner.
Okay.
We added that years ago and just stick it into every buyer agreement. So you could, if you could just remove this and leave the but not less than, just leave it blank. And that, I think Jesse may think differently, but
Might have to work in some gray water there.
yeah. Because of the way buyer commissions are paid, and because this has never been a problem for me, for anyone on our team. I'm closing a deal I closed a deal Friday that was 2% because it was a builder. And I never went back to them. Like I'm not going to do that. And it's never been an issue. Like I've never had a buyer come back to us or I've never had a buyer question this and say, well, I don't want to be on the hook for the missing 0.3.
I've had it happen one time.
Okay, Savannah says she had it happen one time. What happened?
And they pretty much refused to sign it unless if we changed it. But because we really don't chase it down, it just wasn't
Right.
It wasn't worth it. And we ended up
So-
doing 3% a month.
Okay, so we just write something. And so did you hear Savannah?
Yeah.
Kind of hurt her a little bit.
So she said one time she had a buyer that was really adamant. It's like, I'm not going to sign this if the contract states that I'm on the hook for the missing percent. So we just wrote something in additional provisions that said, Actually, we don't even have to.
No, yeah, I was like, it's a box.
So down here in 7.3.1, 2, and 3,
Yeah,
this is the section that controls that. So back up above where it said 3%, that's how much I typically get paid. But if you check 7.3.3, this says who pays me, the listing brokerage or the seller is paying my commission, not you, Dylan. And if they don't pay me all or a portion of that 3%, you are not obligated to pay me.
Okay.
how
Now-
often do you use the 733 though?
We used to use it all the time, but I'll explain to you why we do 7.3.1 now. So, but I've never had a problem explaining it this way. So Dylan, what this says here, it says up above that the seller will pay, I get paid 3%. And this section here explains who pays me. This says the listing firm or seller may pay, which is, we have not had a situation where the seller has not paid me. But it also says that if they won't pay, you are obligated to pay. The reason I'm setting it up this way is that as your agent, it's my duty to save you money and help you avoid fees, to help you, because it's not in your interest to pay my commission, right?
Right.
So if I have this checked, this now opens up the door for me because I'm your agent and I'm advocating for you to get any remaining commission to get that from the seller. So two pieces. One, I'm not going to ask you for a missing percent or 0.5% or 0.3%. I have better stuff to do with my time. And also, that's just not the way we do business. Also, this now allows me, because it's in your best interest to not pay that, I go negotiate for the other people to pay those fees or commission.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, I need to stop there. I need to head out. We can, if you want, just go back to the text thread and I can go through the rest of this. Yeah, I'm
I
happy to.
think you covered almost all of it.
Yeah, you did cover a good chunk
Yeah,
of it. You were
there's
pretty
payment.
thorough.
Yeah, like I've got through all the weird, difficult stuff. So all right, any questions before I let you go?
Yeah, I have a quick one. So Savannah is a transaction broker
Manager,
And-
transaction manager.
manager.
Yeah.
And Keller Williams also has the transaction. I forget what they're called, but they can help with your
Simple.
transaction.
Yep,
Is that
she
what-
actually she runs that group.
Oh, perfect. And then do you have a VA or anyone else on your team, or is it just you three?
You're looking at her.
Hey, Savannah.
Hello.
No VA. Savannah does marketing, 36 Touch. I do some marketing. She helps us with managing our database. Helps keep us accountable, helps us with annual planning.
So she's an operations manager.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
use that phrase. I wasn't sure how familiar you guys were with that, but yeah, that's what we call her. She's the ops manager.
Ah, very cool. And what for sale by owner with that transaction, is that more difficult for us to do because now we have to get the seller to do all that stuff?
It's a trade-off. It can be more difficult because you're right. We have to hound them and keep up with them to get stuff done and get us stuff on time. But the benefit is that they probably are not really savvy about things like who pays all the title fees. Like you can write the contract to push a lot of costs off on them. And they are also usually much less savvy about negotiation And, I think it's more likely that they are going to, like, they're probably not going to know about backup offers. They're not going to know about, structuring the dates and deadlines with the timing of those, because you can write those to be for the benefit of the buyer. Like maybe you put inspection objection and termination
At the end of the
3.5
contract.
weeks out, 4
Okay.
weeks out.
Okay, so don't avoid
Sellers,
by owner.
yeah, a good
Like this
seller's
too.
agent would never go for that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know.
You could probably beat them up a little bit more on price and concessions with inspection.
Mhm.
So it's a trade-off. It's a little more work, but you probably can end up getting a better deal for your buyer client.
Okay, very cool. Do you have any questions, Maria?
One quick one. I noticed you put 120 days. Why?
The way I explain holdover clause is, Maria, I've never had this happen. The holdover clause is one of the few pieces in the agreement that protects me.
Right.
What this says is that if I find a property, tell you about it, and negotiate on your behalf for that property, and then you fire me or I fire you, or you try and do an end run around the agents, maybe the seller approaches you and say, hey, I can save on realtor fees if you and I do this deal together. So maybe you pay me 2% more than list price. I'm still saving money on realtor fees. Let's go behind their back. What that holdover clause says is that if you end up buying that property within 120 days of this agreement that we're signing today, within 120 days of this ending, then I'm still owed a commission. I've never had that happen. And you seem like a really nice person, honest and ethical. I don't think this would be an issue. But like I said, lawyers write this. Someone probably did something naughty at some point in the past, so now it's in the agreement. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
I'm just wondering why you went instead of 90 days, you went 120.
It's better.
Because I was taught 90. That's why I was just asking.
I
So I mean, if we
used
can
that
put it
90.
120, that's cool.
I think we used to do 90. And I think what happened was that longer time span, we probably bumped that up as buyers were taking longer and longer to find a home and get under contract.
Okay.
So the reality now in this market is that most buyers are writing, especially like with anything under 500,000, 550,000, they're probably writing multiple contracts.
Right.
And it's taking longer and longer. And there aren't that many homes in the market. So it's possible that if they do an end run around me, they're maybe going to buy a house that I showed them.
That's smart.
This happened to me once in 10 years. I talked, so this person, English was not their first language. And they claim they did not understand the holdover clause, but they ended up buying a property that I showed them and asked the seller's agent some questions, which means I negotiated on their behalf.
Yep.
And I saw that property change to sold in the MLS. I was like, son of a bitch, I negotiated on that. I called him up. It's like, what's going on? What happened? Like, and he claimed to understand it. I was pretty upset about it, but I could have chased him down and like for months and just, I wasn't even closing a ton of deals at that time. Like I could have used that $6,000 or $7,000.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't like I was doing 30 deals and I could afford to lose 6,000. Like I needed that money, but like the process to try and get that money back from someone, huge pain in the butt. in the time, like if I added up the 80 or 100 hours it would have taken me to make that happen and maybe get my commission,
Right.
I could have secured 5 other buyers.
Oh, yeah.
And
No, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that what you learn along the way, and I appreciate everything you've done and taught us and, you know, helped us in the last several weeks. You're amazing. So I appreciate that.
you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. You've all been very appreciative and thankful. And there are a lot of people out there that are smarter and better at this than I am. Just passing on what works. Happy to help.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. I'm sure as time goes on, I may or may not have more questions. So I know
No
how to
problem.
reach you though.
Bring them. Shoot me a message or call me. I'm happy to help for anyone.
Well, thank you. I know you got to get running. So thank you so much
Yep.
for your time. You have a good rest of your
You're
day.
welcome. All right.
Yeah,
good
we
night.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
Dylan.
Bye-bye.
Adios.